Don't worry, Daddy's home.
Yes, I know I said I'll be doing more frequent uploads, right? But some things got in the way of this, you know? But I'm here, I'm back, and I thought it would be fun and interesting to go back and look at a game that had so much hype, so much potential, and so much praise around it. And managed to turn that praise into a huge disappointment. I am, of course, talking about
Battlefield 2042. This piece of shit. The latest entry in the Battlefield series. Developed by DICE and published by EA, this series specializes in large-scale combat with weaponized vehicles, destructible environments, and more of a focus on team play, as well as a huge arsenal of weaponry, and a couple of Easter eggs too. The series has spanned back since 2002, and has since had its fair share of highs and, more recently, its lows. Me personally, my favorite is 1 because Four is also good as well. 5, while it's good in its current state, it had to go through a lot to get there. Speaking of 5, in April 2020, DICE announced that it and Star Wars Battlefront 2 would have their next content updates be their last, which is really funny because that's around the time when both of these games actually started becoming enjoyable. The decision was made to help aid the next Battlefield title, where it would be developed with the help of Ripple Effect Studios, formerly DICE LA, EA Gothenburg, and Criterion, the makers of the Need for Speed games. Now, from the announcement, there was nothing much to note except the showing of the engine that they were using for the game. That was until DICE posted on Twitter with the date of June 9th, 2021 for the reveal of the game. To follow the announcement, some in-game teasers from the other Battlefield games appeared when booting up the game as a form of glitches. These showed the next game taking place in a near future apocalyptic setting, with weapons and vehicles fitting the aesthetic. There was also an ARG that involved content creators solving the full message of the transmission. Then, June 9th, 2021, the official reveal trailer released. Now, no matter how the game came out, this trailer will always be hard. The music, the set pieces, the action. I mean, who can forget the first time that they saw the rendezvous recreated? It seemed like a love letter to the fans and a showcase of the series at its best, and all-out warfare. There will be some articles coming out containing info about the game and about some of the design choices that they made, which, well, we'll get to those later. There was another trailer during the Xbox and Bethesda game showcase, some gameplay, and I use the term some loosely as barely anything was shown except for a cool tornado along with the weapon customization. The following month, July 22nd, they revealed Battlefield Portal, which allows you to create your own custom matches and custom game modes with assets from some of the previous games. Finally, Hazard Zone, an extraction type mode along the likes of Tarkov and Hunt Showdown, albeit more casual. Skipping forward a bit, there was a delay from October to November. Leaks from the private technical test would be revealed, and then the open beta would launch on October 6, 2021. And it was quite unforgettable.
I need it there. I got it. It's trouble going. You mother.
I mean, it looks bad. It looks really bad right now. But come on. It's just a beta. Listen, it's just a beta. Like, listen, it's a separate build of the game. It's not finished, okay? Listen, they got plenty of time to work all the kinks, man. It's an old build. Please give the developers some slack.
Oh shit! Here we go again.
What are you waving at? What are you waving at?
I almost died.
You're getting salt. You clipped into the
The game was an absolute dumpster fire. A bug-infested, glitchy, unfun experience. I had 2 hours to play the game since I had EA Play when it launched, and it was just bad. Even when the game was working, which was rare, there was no enjoyment playing it due to the core gameplay being very flawed. I was so disappointed, and I wasn't alone in that feeling. People were upset, the game's reputation tanked deeply, and it was one of the worst reviewed games on Steam for a while. Now, after my 2 hours were up, I uninstalled that mess and went on with my life. After all, at least it didn't drop $70 fucking on it. But it's 2023 now. Things have changed, updates, patches, fixes. You can say many things about DICE, but when a game is broken at launch, they fix it, or at least try to. I mean, I would have preferred if they made the game playable at launch, but you know what? Whatever. So, let's go back to 2042 and see if it's changed for the better.
Now, I got ahead and made a little list for all the problems that I have with Battlefield 2042. These are problems that I and many other players had with the initial launch of the game. Your list might be different from mine, or you might not even have a list and enjoy the game at its launch date for what it was, which is completely fine. I am a Call of Duty fan after all. I know what it's like to enjoy complete dog shit. So with that out of the way, let's get this shit rolling. Shall we?
Booting up 2042, it put me in a match against bots after the introductory cutscene played. I noticed immediately that the UI looks way better than it used to. When navigating through the main menus and settings, I had problems with the readability of the on and off switches, and I felt that some of the elements were taking up a lot of unnecessary space. Something Modern Warfare 2 would shamelessly steal 1 year later. But now, the toggles are more clear, and main menu elements don't take up that much space now. The performance of the game has also been improved from the stuttery shit can it was. I was able to get around 60 to 50 frames per second on average, with dips into the 40s while playing on 128 player Conquest on the default settings. The performance was much better when playing on modes with a smaller player count. Using DLSS helped. I would stick to balance, however, since that's the best performance to quality ratio that I found. Your mileage may vary depending on what you're playing on, so here's my specs for reference. The stability of the game massively improved too, with me only experiencing minor bugs here and there, a much needed step up from the broken launch. The graphics haven't had much of a change, even at medium-ish settings it looks good in my eyes, although it's not as next-gen looking as its competitors even when playing on Ultra. But the looks of a game is only one part of it, so how's the gameplay? This leads into one of the major critiques against the game, the specialist. Now we need to do a little explaining first. In the past games, there were 4 classes to choose from: Assault, Support, Medic, or Recon. Some games had different classes or names, but the system was a staple in Battlefield. Each class had different mechanics and different playstyles. They also had exclusive categories of weapons and equipment only available to each class. This goes in hand with Battlefield's overall focus on squad play and teamwork that gives it its defining edge against other shooters. So it makes perfect and logical sense to entirely scrap that system and have these Rainbow Six Siege ass motherfuckers here. That's not all, they can use all of the weapons regardless of character. Strategy, team play, the ability to choose your squad. No more! Not like that matters when you can't tell who's friendly and who's not because they use the same models for both teams. But guys, listen, you can try out the new abilities that they have, like the wingsuit, the shield which was actually broken at launch and couldn't be used until weeks in the game, and literal wall hacks, plus all the cool voice lines that you get at the end of the game.
Hey, I've already had 5 cups of coffee. Let's go.
When in doubt, follow my lead.
A good day's work, but I'm not one to brag.
Don't be sad. This is just how it works out sometimes.
Man, that's so epic. These cool and unique operators can be customized from head to toe. Okay, that's actually a good feature for customization, I'll give you that. With the good old cosmetics that you get in the store. Man, that's so epic. I think you can see the problem with the specialist system now. So, did they do anything to address it? Well, yes, in fact. They separated certain specialists into the class categories and certain gadgets into the previous systems. They didn't do it to the weapons, however, but each class has their own bonus that they have when using certain weapons. Now, while it's not perfect, it certainly is a step up from the previous system. Even though this was literally an option in Portal at launch, why didn't you do that in the first place, guys? They also changed some of the specialist appearances to better fit the tone of the game by putting dirt and beards on them. The change I noticed the most were the absence of the cringy endgame dialogue from the accolade screen, as well as some dialogue omissions altogether. Overall, I think this is a step in the right direction, and while not perfect, it's nice that DICE is walking back on some unnecessary changes that they made for the sake of change. Wish other game studios would do that. Compared to the launch of the game, DICE added more weapons to choose from. Most of them taken from Battlefield Portal, although there are some new ones added from past seasons that you can unlock through challenges. I'll also give them credit for the fact that they don't have a dumb match requirement. The guns felt really satisfying when getting kills with them, and the animations for them are alright. Certainly not the best, but they're not terrible. The cosmetics in this game were reminiscent of Modern Warfare 2019 and Modern Warfare 2, as in the tactical mass military operators. There's also a battle pass because it's a live service AAA video game in 2023. Why wouldn't it have one? Now, I'm personally biased for these designs. I'm an absolute sucker for masks, can you tell? But I feel like some of them come off as a little try-hard or edgy, like they look like something a GTA 5 griefer would wear. This problem applies to Modern Warfare 2, by the way, but I thought I would mention it here. The maps were another big criticism, as players felt like they were too big and thus made the game empty even with the 128 player count. The developers have done some steps to remedy this by adding 64 player conquest mode, as well as reworking some of the maps to have better gameplay flow. More about the 64 player conquest mode, it was essentially the main way to play the game if you were playing on last generation. The current generation of consoles and PC had the 128 player count initially. So basically, they just brought over the last gen experience over to new gen. Very nice. Nevertheless, this mode feels more action-packed and atmospheric compared to the regular matches. Speaking of atmosphere, a problem I had was that when in game, the audio felt flat and less punchy like it did in previous games. That was one of the reasons why Battlefield 1 hit so hard for me, because it really sounded like you were in a deadly war. With Battlefield 2042 now, I did notice an increase in that feeling. Not as intense as 1, but it was just enough for me to be satisfied. Even hitting some notes of Battlefield 4 at times. Another major complaint about the game is the lack of features present compared to previous Battlefield titles. These range from small to, why the hell would you take this out? So let's go over the major ones, shall we?
No scoreboard.
In almost every first-person shooter that has been released, there will be a scoreboard to show what the performance of you and your teammates are in a given match. Not in 2042. What the hell is this? Like, it shows some of your stats and your ribbons and some team values, but like, what the hell? Like, what the fuck is this? This is not a scoreboard. Let's compare this to other Battlefield titles. Kills, deaths, score. All these details of every player in the game. With the release of Update 3.3, however, it looks like this now. Good job, DICE. Good job. You added a scoreboard. Must have been really hard. Gold star. A+. A+.
No voice chat.
Yes. Not only did this multiplayer team-based game ship without a functional scoreboard, but no voice chat within your squad. AAA Studio, by the way. Like the scoreboard, this was added in an update, and I'm sure this took a long time for you to add these legacy features of every fucking game. Oh my god, you fucking kidding?
Downgraded movement system.
One of the best features of Battlefield 5 was its movement. You could crouch run, climb up high walls, be pinned on your back whenever there was a huge explosion, roll to avoid fall damage. It was really good, and it made the previous systems clunky in comparison. Yeah, this is still not in 2042. The most we can do is a clunky attack sprint and slide.
No campaign.
Now, this doesn't really affect me as much because I usually don't play Battlefields for the campaign, although some of them have really, really good campaigns. But an online campaign is still important because what if you don't have internet or there's a very low player count for the online mode, as well as established story and why you're even fighting in the first place. Although you can play with bots offline, there is no dedicated solo campaign still.
Lack of content.
At launch, there are only 2 game modes for all-out warfare, Conquest and Breakthrough, while there were the other 2 modes available. That's pretty light on content if you ask me. Now there's the previously mentioned Conquest 64, Rush, and Team Deathmatch, with certain modes going in and out weekly. Good additions.
Downgraded destruction.
One of the things that makes Battlefield is the destructible environments. You could level houses, put holes in the ground, even take down whole skyscrapers. I noticed that element was toned down for 2042 in favor of the environmental events like the tornado, the sandstorm, and the tornado. Nevertheless, I think that's gone better in certain maps.
Downgraded character customization.
In Battlefield 5, you could choose different characters for each of the different factions of the war. It was a nice addition that DICE added to the game, and it wasn't very crazy with the items, except for the elite skins. Yeah, that's not coming back with the specials anytime soon.
No stat tracker.
No scoreboard, no voice chat, and no statistics tracker. This game is beating Halo Infinite, which had all these features at launch. It's in now. It's in now. Jesus Christ! This game was actually undercooked. It literally was a battle royale. Oh my god.
No spectator mode.
Spectator mode was a mode to spectate. Holy shit, a great observation. You can follow individual players, you can do a free camera, toggle the HUD, and the ability to lock cameras in certain positions to get a better angle. This made the game look like an RTS with little men running in the ground killing each other. It is still not in 2042.
Lack of guns.
There are more now, some lifted from Portal.
Lack of gadgets.
There are more now, some lifted from Portal.
No customizable UI.
In the previous games, you could change the colors of each HUD element, scale them to your liking. In 2042, you can
do this as well as display damage numbers in-game. No server browser.
Barring Portal, there is no server browser for All-Out Warfare and Hazard Zone. Server browsers allow you to give more choice in what game mode you're playing and helps you find populated servers to actually play the game, since quick match is kinda fucky sometimes. But no, it's still not here unless you count portals. Speaking of Portal, while it unfortunately doesn't have the player numbers that it used to, it still is a pretty damn fun experience going into the different servers and playing all kinds of crazy modes. One of them was a very intense air fight, where I was tasked to continuously repair a helicopter while being shot out at the sky. The riveting gameplay says it all. Oh, we got like 1,000 health. Great. I was fearing for my life. Another one was Weapons Master, or Gun Game if you will, set on Caspian border from Battlefield 3, using 2042's weapons. And while I was fucking trash, I still had a lot of fun playing it. And lastly, Hazard Zone, an effort to expand and capitalize on the growing popularity of the permadeath extraction genre, which had a surge of popularity at the time, and still is popular. Now, it was very hard to get into a match since this mode is basically dead, but I did go into one match. The goal of the mode is to collect hard drives that crash throughout the map, and extract them with your team, avoiding enemy AI and teams as the latter has the same goal as you. I noticed that the mode was very similar to how it was 2 years ago, with little changes. But then again, maybe I haven't played enough because I only got into one game. I also glitched out when trying to extract the drives and I got killed. 0 out of 10. In all honesty, I can see why this never took off. The stakes are too low when you lose your items, as I got all the money that I spent in the pre-game lobby back. making it less stressful and intense and therefore less engaging. There's also the fact that it's just hard drives you're getting, as opposed to different guns and equipment that many other games in this genre have. I could imagine an alternate timeline where this mode wasn't dropped and with enough changes than the main comparator to DMZ from Modern Warfare 2, which it honestly needs right now. But unfortunately, this mode, like Firestorm from Battlefield 5, will forever be a failed attempt at something new for the franchise. So now that I had a chance to experience the current version of Battlefield 2042, I can conclude that the game is actually pretty good now. I mean, I don't think that it's worth $70 fucking dollars, but if you have EA Play or if you get the game on sale, I don't think you'll be disappointed. It actually feels like a Battlefield game now. 7 awkward mishmash of popular modern gaming trends in one. And while still scuffed in some ways, it's much better this time around. With that being said, I don't think DICE should be given a pass for releasing an unfinished broken game and then fixing it later. It happens all the fucking time within the AAA game industry, and people still eat it up every single time. This isn't even the first time they did this. It happened with 4, it happened with Hardline, it happened with 5. Release a shitty and unfinished version of the game, get pushback, have a couple fixes and changes. Now the game's amazing. Then you got the dick riders defending this behavior, like,
it's launched the game, bro. It's always gonna be buggy and unfinished at launch. It's how Battlefield works. You gotta wait for it to be fixed.
I want the game to be fixed at launch. I paid for a product under the pretense that it works. I demand a product that works. If DICE released Battlefield 2042 in this current state of the game, I guarantee you there would not be a sixth of the backlash they had because they released a garbage game. Simple as that. And I want all of you to remember this when you go and buy the next one or pre-order the next one, which I'm honestly surprised there was going to be a next Battlefield game. I thought this shit would have been killed for sure. So, what did we learn today? Well, it's that EA and DICE are snakes and that you should never buy a Battlefield game at full price. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I'm going to go back in my hole for the next 4 months, so see ya.